हेलो एवरीवन, कैसे हैं आप सब लोग? होप यू आर डूइंग वेल. सो टुडे इन दिस लेक्चर we'll discuss the GS1 paper 2025. In this lecture we'll discuss only the geography question. So in 2025 GS1 paper, so there was total 8 questions from the geography. 4 questions are of 10 marks, that is question number 4, 5, 6, 7, and 4 questions are of 15 marks, that is question number 14, 15, 16 and 17. So total, if you see, 100 marks are there for geography. So if you see my video on PYQ analysis of geography, I told you the type of question that UPSC asking so far related to geography. So in this paper also, UPSC focus first current plus static question. So this type of question, earlier what happened, the static question from the geographic part is more, but UPSC shift this pattern and now the question was more about the current linked question. So if you see the question, so this GS1 paper of 2025, if you see the geography question, so it seemed to be general question, journalistic question was there. So it seemed like the question was easy, but it is not. When you write the question, so writing that question is tricky. So what happened? Suppose simpler. So the question seemed to be simpler, but here you have to So for geography question, if you have to write a good answer for this type of question, so it seems a simpler question, but for that you require first in-depth knowledge of that question that has been asked. So in-depth knowledge plus the clear understanding of the concept is required. So in this you have to require that you have a clear understanding of that is asked by the UPSC. So if the question is about the tsunami, so you have the in-depth knowledge about how tsunami is formed, and for the value addition you should have the facts and examples, facts plus examples. So if you have these three things, then the paper would say this is a simpler paper. But if you don't have in-depth knowledge, in-depth clear concept clarity, or a value addition material, that is fact and example, because that examples is a differentiated factor here. So so the example make your answer more attractive, and a 1 or 2 marks difference will be there if anybody write everything with example, with current related example. So 1 or 2 marks will be extra for that student. Now let's see the first question, that is 10 marker question, that is how are climate change and the sea level rise affecting the very existence of many island nations, discuss with example. See, the question seems to be simpler, but what the student, almost every student in the examination hall is more focused on this. So they will write the question in the perspective of this sea level rise. But here is the one more thing, that is climate change. So the question says that how are climate change, one is climate change and the sea level rise, second thing is sea level rise affecting the very existence. So here the word is existence also of many island nation. Discuss with example. If you see every 10 marker question, UPSC specifically asked discuss with example. All the four question, so all the four question of 10 marker, UPSC specifically write this word with example, discuss with example. So examples play a very important role in this type of question. So you have to give, if you write a 5 point, there should be 5 example for that. Now, so here the word existence, what do you mean by the existence? Existence of small island developing states. So existence is not merely the land existence or the sovereignty, but it also consists of community existence. There should be economic existence. There should be ecological existence. So you have to think about this also. So if anybody write point merely on this line sea level rise and write 4-5 point the impact of that sea level rise on this small island state, so that student will not get a good marks in this question. But on the other side, if a student write the answer by balancing the climate change point and the sea level rise point and impact of both on island nation, on the existence of many island nation, will get a good marks and with the example also. So here first thing, first, so here the question, first climate change, second is sea level rise affect the very existence of these many island nation. So since this is your first page, this is your second page. See, there are many videos on analysis, so merely listening to analysis will not help you. So what happen when there is a question on screen, pause the screen, take a piece of paper and don't write it, at least brainstorm it. Think about the point, think about what, if you are in the examination hall, what you will write. So think about the point that how I will write this question and note it on a piece of paper and then see the video. So your first question is, how are climate change and the sea level rise affect the very existence of many island nation? So the first here you have to intro. So here what happens, see, climate change, the one impact of climate change is the sea level rise. So here in the intro, so in this type of question, first if you have the fact, if you have a data on sea level rise, then first intro you should write the fact or a data on the sea level rise. So first intro can be fact or data. You can quote the IPCC report. Here we show that there is 1.011 mm per year rise in the sea surface temperature, sea level rise, sea level rise. You can also quote the WMO report here. So if you remember the data or the fact, then first intro, then that you should start your answer with the data or the IPCC report or a WHO report. Suppose now the second, you don't remember the data. So here general data you have on climate change. So this, if you are sitting in an examination, if you are giving this means, so you have a general data on climate change. Use that data to introduce your answer. Now third option, any key event happening in current. So contest. if you know the context of this question, that why this question is being asked by the UPSC, then is the best way to start with the context of the question. Now see, there is news. So there is a news in the alliance of small island nation. So this alliance is very much in news. So you can start with this also. Fourth option. So suppose you don't know the data in the examination hall, you don't remember the data on the sea level rise, then you have the general data on climate change, write with the general data on the climate change. If you don't have the general data on climate change, if you know the context why this question has been asked by the UPSC, is there something in news happen related to this climate change or sea level rise or this existence of many small islands, so you can start with the context. Then contest what is happening, there is a news, there is very much news, this there is news on these alliance of small island nations, so you can start with this also. Or for generally link climate change, so you will link the climate change with thermal heating. Then due to this thermal heating, what is happening, there is melting of glacier, and due to this melting of glacier, what is happening, there is sea level rise. So this can be a one intro also. If this is very general intro, if you don't know this, then write this, try to link climate change and the sea surface temperature, sea level rise. So due to this climate change, what is happening, there is more thermal heating, and due to this thermal heating, what is happening, there is melting of glacier, and due to this melting of glacier, there is a sea level rise. So there are 4 ways to start this intro. So now the intro is done. Now in the body part, so here intro. So I'll quote the IPCC report. Rise in sea level. So here the body part. So first, so here this is a 10 marker question. So simply you write 5 point on this, 5 to 6 point. So think. So what happened? See, due to sea level rise, what is happening? So there are many small island nation, you know. So first, if you see the sea level rise, what is happening? There is submergence of land. So due to sea level rise, first impact would be there is submergence of land. So there are many small island nation which have the impact of sea level rise, that is submergence of land. The land is submerging. So you can give the example of here Maldives. Maldives is in news also, that 80% of this Maldives land have risk of submergence. So this is the one impact of sea level rise. Then second, this should be inundation of salt water in freshwater aquifers. So what happened? See, due to sea level rise, this small island nation, what is happening, due to sea level rise, the salt water came in the freshwater aquifer of that small island. See, if this is a small island and this is the ocean, So due to this sea level rise, what is happening? Salt water is mixed with the fresh water aquifers. So due to that, there is a water scarcity in this small island nation. So this will also impact the very existence of this small island nation. So anodation of salt water into the fresh water aquifer, which will impact the water scarcity in that small island. You can give example here. The small island is Tuvalu. So Tuvalu is facing the huge water crisis. Huge water crisis. So this example. So example is very important. For every point you have to write an example. Now the third point. So these 2 points are basically of sea level rise. The first was the submergence of land and second was the inundation of salt water in freshwater aquifer. Then you have to balance this with the climate change also. So think about the climate change, that why climate change impacting the very existence of this small nation. So due to climate change, what is happening? There is ocean acidification. So due to what is happening, there is ocean acidification. Ocean acidification is happening, and due to this ocean acidification, there is biodiversity loss. There is coral bleaching. There is loss of mangrove. So all this is happening due to what? Due to climate change, which will impact the existence of small islands. So what is happening? There is a biodiversity loss, there is a coral bleaching also, there is a mangrove also. So this will impact who? This will impact that vulnerable population in the island. Now fourth, due to this climate change, what is happening? There is a more chances of tsunami, there is a more chances of cyclone, there is a more chances of marine heat wave. So all these will impact the community existence of that small island developing states. So this also will be the impact of climate change, and it will also impact the existence of the small island nation. Then there is one term known as climate refugee. So fifth point should be climate refugee. So people are migrating from that small nation. So climate refugee or environmental refugees. So fifth point should be this. You can also give example that Kiribati. So recently Kiribati purchased land in Fiji Island for these climate refugees. So Tuvalu also deal with this climate refugee situation. So this is also impacting the very existence of small nations. So these can be the 5 points that you write in your body part. Now for this, so these 5 points. Now the value addition. These 5 points will write by everyone. Now how you will add the value? First, first in the intro part, you will write the data, then the example. So this is also value addition. But how to make your answer more presentable? Here you will draw a map. Here you will draw a world map. So here you will draw a roughly map, and here you will highlight that examples. So Tuvalu, Maldives. So here you will write, you will highlight the all the small island nations, and so in this way, this will make your answer more presentable and it will add value to your answer. Now the conclusion. So what you will write in conclusion? So what happened? See, this is happening. So you will, in your body part, you will write about the impact that this is happening. So conclusion should be more in the positive way, more in the positive side. So in the conclusion, right, you will do the solution. So what is the solution? So you will invest in the climate finance, connect climate finance, connect global climate adaptation policy. So in the body part, you will give these are the problems due to this climate change and sea level rise, and conclusion you will give the solution. So your conclusion should be optimistic and on the positive note. Optimistic and on the positive line. So in this type of question, if you don't know how to conclude it, the best way the best way to conclusion, either significance, you know the significance, or if any question, if the problem is asking, then the solution, you will give the solution, or if there is any government scheme. So think on this line when you will write the conclusion. Either you know the significance, so write the significance. Either you know the solution, so this question is more about the problem, so you will give the solution. Either I have some government schemes or policy, so I'll write in that in conclusion. So this is the analysis of this 10 marker question, that is how our climate change and the sea level rise affect the very existence of many island nations. Now our next question is, so this is a flow chart. So there is an impact. What are the impact? There is a submergence, there is a coastal erosion, there is a salt water intrusion, and there is a stronger cyclone. So these are the impact I told you. Then you can give the example of these Maldives, Kiribati, Tuvalu, Marshall Islands. What are the consequences of this? So I merge these 2 points. When I write the, see, this is a 10 marker question, so you don't have to you don't have much space to write. So what you do it, so first in the subheading you will write the impact, and then in the next you will write here the consequences. So I merge that. So here submergence, it will threat the sovereignty of that small island, loss of culture, there is a climate refugee, and the way forward. So in the conclusion, there should be solution for this, there should be mitigation strategy, adaptation strategy, and the climate finance. Now came the second question, that is, what is non-farm primary activity? How are these activity related to physiographic feature in India? Discuss with suitable examples. So here again, the more emphasis with the suitable example. So you should know the suitable example also. So first part is what is non-farm primary activity. So this is a first part. Pause the video, take a piece of paper and at least write what you know. So here what are non-farm primary activity, that is first part, and second, how are these activity relate to? So this non-farm activity, how they are related to the physiographical features of India. So first you know the physiographic feature of India. So you know what are the physiographic feature of India. So Himalayas, plains, deserts, coastal areas. So these all are what? These all are the physiographic feature of India. So we have to connect this physiographical feature of India to the non-farm primary activity. So what are non-farm primary activity? So in our syllabus there is mention of primary sector, secondary sector and the tertiary sector. So there is primary sector, there is secondary sector, and there is a tertiary activity. In this primary sector, so the extraction of natural resources is in the primary activities. Now in this there is agriculture, there is mining, there is quarrying, there is salt production, then there is animal rearing, animal rearing, pastoralism, then there is sericulture. So these are the primary activities. But when we exclude the agriculture from it, so when we exclude the agriculture activities from the primary activities, then these activities are known as the non-farm primary activities. So the from when we exclude the agriculture or the crop related activities from the primary activities, then this is non-farm primary activities. So this can be a intro. For the intro, so for the intro, first option is if you have data on non-farm primary activity or the employment in non-farm primary activity or non-farm primary activity economic economic contribution to GDP. So if you have data on non-farm primary activities or the employment in non-farm activities, see this percentage of population is working in this non-farm activity, or if you have the data on the economic contribution of non-farm activity in the percentage of GDP. So if you have data on this, write introduction on data only. But this data many people will not have. So second intro would be define non-farm primary activities. So either introduce with the data if you have, if you don't have, no worries, define non-farm primary activities in the intro part. Then so after intro, what are these activities? You will make a flow chart. So non-farm activity, what are these activities? So this will make your answer more presentable, and also it fill the space also. So here mining, here fisheries, here forestry, here quarrying, so non-farm primary activities. So first is mining, second is forestry, then the fisheries, then there is quarrying, then there is salt production, then there is sericulture, then there is aquaculture. So this will make your answer more presentable. So after introduction, you can use this type of flowchart by defining what are the non-farm primary activities and what are these activities. So after that, the body part contains. So In the body part, you will connect the physiographical features of India with the non-farm primary activity. So here first the Himalayan region. So in the Himalayan region, so you know that what are the major activities in the Himalayan region. So here is forestry. So and the nomadic pastoralism. So these are the two activities that are happen in the Himalayan region. You will give the example of Jammu Kashmir. You will give the example of Uttarakhand. You will give the example of pine wood and deodar cultivation in the area of Uttarakhand and Himachal Pradesh. So they also give example also, because the question is asking discuss with example. Then the second physiographical phenomena is the Gangetic plains. So after that, what came the Gangetic plain? What the major activity? One activity was the major activity in the Gangetic plain, that is agriculture. But here we are talking about the non-agriculture primary activity. So we exclude the agriculture. And other than agriculture, what are the basic non-farm major primary activity in the Gangetic plain is inland fisheries. So inland fisheries in Ganga Basin, in Brahmaputra Basin. So you can give here the example of hilsa fish in West Bengal. So you can here is the inland fisheries is there. Second is animal husbandry, dairy production. UP, you can give example of UP, that UP is largest production of milk. So here in this way, first you will describe the physiographical, you will subheading with the physiographical feature of India, and after that you will link the non-farm activities that were present in that region, and you will give the example also. Then came the plateaus, peninsular plateaus, then the plateaus. So here what is present? Here is ancient rock system is present. You can give it. So here what is the major activity, non-farm activity is mining. Give example of Odisha, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh belt. After that what came? Deserts, run of Kutch. So here what is the major activity is salt production. Second activity is animal rearing. Give example of camel and sheep in Rajasthan. Camel and sheep rearing in Rajasthan. Salt production in the run of Kutch of Gujarat. So this is the example. After that came the coastal plains. So in the coastal area, what is the major activity? So in the coastal area, linked with the fisheries. So coastal area, here you link with the fisheries, because major activity is fisheries. Aquaculture, here seaweed cultivation is there. They are collecting the seafoods. So this is the coastal area. You will give example here. Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Tamil Nadu. You can give example of tunda fish here. After that, so the coastal areas is done, the desert done, the plains is also done. So you have, so all the points is done. We have linked with the physiographical feature in India and the non-farm activity and with the examples. So one value addition that you will make that flow chart of non-farm, that diagram of non-farm primary activity. Also here you can also draw a map of India. Map of India. So here you will show that this is Himalayan region, and what is happening here? There is forestry. Then here is inland fisheries. Inland fishery. Here this area is salt production. Here is aquaculture and fisheries. So here also in the northeast region forestry. After that here in the plateau region is the mining. So in this way you have to draw a good India map while showing the in which physiographical feature of India or in which region which non-farm activity is more prevalent. So this is our second question where we have write about the physiographical feature and the non-farm primary activity. Now came our third question, that is explain briefly the ecological and the environment benefits of solar energy generation in India with example. So here you have to first explain. First part is ecological, second part is economic benefit of solar energy generation in India with suitable example. Again the emphasis on the suitable examples also, that you have to write the suitable example. So here you have write about both what are the ecological and the economic benefit of solar energy generation in India. So in the intro part you can link the solar energy generation with a global commitment of 500 gigawatt non-fossil fuel energy targets, non-fossil fuel targets by 2030. You can also link with the net zero target of India by 2070 or recent 116 gigawatt of energy in India is from solar. So we are close to our target of 500 gigawatt non-fossil fuel energy. Or also you can start with the that India is fourth largest in solar energy generation globally. So you can also write this. So in this way, in the intro, either connect solar energy generation with the 500 gigawatt target or with the net zero target of 2070 or with the India is maybe third largest in the solar generation, and either this is a June 2025. So till June 2025 we obtain 116 gigawatt of energy from the solar. So use this data for intro. Now came the body part. So in body part, first you will think about the ecological benefits and then the economic benefits. So what are the ecological benefits of solar energy generation? So think about the ecological benefits. So what are the ecological benefits? So if we generate energy from the solar rather than the fossil fuel, then what are the ecological benefits? Think about in that line. So first they should be reduced in the fossil fuel emission. Fossil fuel emission. So less amount of CO2 emission, because earlier what happened, the energy is generated from coal thermal plants which emit more amount of CO2 in the atmosphere. So if we generate solar energy, then there is reduction in the fossil fuel emission. Second, there should be reduction in the water scarcity. So what happened in this coal thermal plant? So in this coal thermal plant, the large amount of water is used. So water is used as a moderator and the coolant in the thermal plants, in the coal thermal plants. So when we use the solar energy generation plant, so the water scarcity is reduced. Now the third point, it will climate targets. So the solar energy generation will increase our speed towards our climate target. So this is the fourth impact. So these are the ecological benefit that you will write in your answer. Now think about the economic benefit. What are the economic benefits? So economic benefits, for the coal thermal plant, we are depending upon the import. So it will reduce the import bill. So first benefit of economic is it will impact the, or it will reduce the import bills. So first reduce import dependence. Second, it will generate employment. If more number of solar plant will be there, or will be there, then there is more number of employment is there. Or you can here talk about the green jobs. So you can link with the green job also here. Then third is energy security. You can talk about the PM Surya Ghar Yojana. So it will increase the energy security also, because every person will access the energy made by the solar plants or the solar rooftop plates. So it will reduce the inequality related to energy. So these are the basically economic benefits of the solar energy generation. So these are the basic point that everyone writes. How you will make your answer more attractive or more presentable. So first, here you will give the examples like connect with the green job, connect with the government schemes. After that, you will make a map of India, and here you will highlight the major solar power plants. So here Badla solar power plant in Rajasthan. So all that solar power plants that you know, you will make this. So this is the map that you have to write in your that you draw in your answer. So here is this in Rajasthan, there is a solar plant, there is a Rewa solar plant in Chhattisgarh and MP border, then there is Kurnool ultra mega solar plant, there is Shakti Sathala solar project, and there is Pavagada solar project. So if you know 2 or 3, draw a map, mark that location and write their name. So it will enhance your answer. So you will draw a India's renewable energy solar energy map. So conclusion, So in conclusion, so you will connect with that solar energy not only will enhance our global climate target, but also essential for sustainable and inclusive growth. So in this way you have to conclude. So connect solar energy generation with the climate target, and not only the climate target but with the sustainable and inclusive growth also. So this can be a good conclusion for this answer. Let's move towards the next question. That is what are Tsunami, how and where they are formed, what are their consequences, explain with examples. So 3 parts. So this is a 10 marker question. So in the 10 marker question, first part is what is Tsunami. Second part is how and where they are formed. So here you will write how they form. So this will here the geographical phenomena of tsunami, that how tsunami is formed, where you will write about the distribution area where the tsunami is more prone, then consequences. So there is second part, third part, and the fourth part is the consequences. You will write the consequences of the tsunami and you will explain with example. Again in the 10 marker question, UPSC asks explain with example. So you have to give the example also. So why this question is asked by the UPSC? If you see my disaster management video, in the second part I had discussed the tsunami, how and where they are formed. I also discussed that, and also discussed that the consequences. So if you see that video of disaster management part 2, so the first disaster I had take is tsunami only. So what happened, why this question is asked? So tsunami is very much news in this year due to that Kamchatka Peninsula earthquake is there, and due to that there is displacement of large column of water in the Pacific Ocean in the South China Sea. There is a chances, and they induce the chances of tsunami in the Pacific Ocean. So that's why the tsunami is news. Tsunami in December 2024 also in news, because 2004 tsunami in the Indian Ocean was very in 2004 there is a tsunami in the Indian Ocean, and it they in 2024 there is 20 years of 2004 tsunami. So this 2004 tsunami in Indian Ocean was very destructive. So more than 4 lakh people were dead due to this tsunami. So there is 20-year completion for this. That's why the tsunami is also in news. So what are tsunamis? So in the introduction part, you will write about or define tsunami. What is tsunami? Tsunami is a high or massive oceanic waves generate due to displacement of column of water in ocean. And why this displacement is happened? Due to some seismic activities in the ocean, due to volcanic eruption, due to landslide. So these are the causes for the tsunami. So tsunami is the massive or high oceanic waves. So, so in the introduction, simply define the tsunami. After that, how they formed. So how they formed. So after that, you will write the formation of tsunami. So what happened? Due to seismic activities or volcanism or landslide in ocean, there is displacement of column of water. This generate a wave with high wavelength plus small amplitude, which is known as tsunami. So this is the process of formation for the tsunami. So for the complete detail, you had to visit our disaster management part 2 of the part 2 of disaster management video, where I'll holistically cover how they are formed with diagram also. So here, after that, after formation of tsunami, you will draw a diagram. So this is 10 marker question, very easy to write. So draw a diagram. What happened? This is the ocean and this is the land here. So here, diagram for tsunami. So this is ocean and this is here the land. So this is the land, this is the oceanic shelves. So what happened if there is a earthquake in this area? So what happened? There is a release of energy, and due to this release of energy, what is happening? The displacement of water is happening, and this displacement generate a wave with a higher wavelength and the small amplitude. But when this distance is become shorter, when the water is moving towards the land, so the distance between the oceanic bed and the surface of water is shortening. So here the distance is reducing, and whenever this water and the wave came towards the land, towards the coastal area, the amplitude start rising and it will impact the coastal area or the small islands. So this diagram you have to draw in your paper. After that, the consequence, after that, where are they formed? So you also draw the distribution also. So for the distribution, you draw the map. So here this diagram. After that, map, because here you will write about that where. So this coastal area is more prone to tsunami. This small island nation is more prone to tsunami. So this you also have to make the graph or map of the India for the tsunami, for the distribution of tsunami. After that, the consequences. So the fourth part is the consequences. So what are the consequences? For the consequences, what you have to think? So there is some social consequences, there is some economic consequences. So think on this line. So there are some economic consequences, there are some social consequences, there are some environment consequences, there are some governance consequences. So for the economic, if there is a tsunami in that area, so there is a loss of critical infrastructure, loss of critical infrastructure, there is loss of property, there is loss of tourism, loss of fisheries. See, after that social, there is loss of biodiversity, loss of human life, mass casualties is there. Environment, for the environment perspective, you have to think what are the consequences on environment. So there is biodiversity loss, there is coral reef damage, there is mangroves, it impact the marine ecosystem. So these all are the economic impact, environmental impact, and there is a strain in rescue and relief. There is mismatch of disaster governance. So these are the basic consequences that you have to write in your answer. And with example also, so here you will give example of 2004 Indian tsunami, the latest one, the Kamchatka Peninsula induced tsunami. Also you will give the IPCC report that will say that the frequency intensity of this tsunami are increased due to climate change. So link with the climate change also. So after that our 15 marker question begins, and the first question is give a geographical explanation of the distribution of offshore oil reserve. So here first geographical explanation of the distribution of offshore oil reserve of the world. How are they different from the onshore oil reserves? So the first part that you have to talk about is the distribution of offshore oil reserve. Then second, geographical explanation, that why these locations are there, what are the geography behind it. After that, difference between the onshore and the offshore oil reserve, and the conclusion. So this is the structure that you have to think about. So in the 10 or 20 second, you have to structure your answer in your mind, that this I will write in my paper. So the first, you have to define the district. So in the intro part, if you have data, so I know there is no much data on that. So if I see the level of this question, so this is not an easy question. This is fairly tough question to write, because here you have to know about the locations of onshore and offshore oil reserve. So here first, in the intro part, write about the what is offshore oil reserve. So here you will define the what is offshore oil reserve, or the location beneath the ocean, or the oil reserve beneath the oceans. So these are the offshore oil reserve. After that, you will make a world map. You will make a world map. Here you will show the distribution of this offshore oil reserve in the world, because they are specifically asking about the distribution of offshore oil reserve in the world. So here you will mark the location. What are the location of offshore? Offshore is the offshore oil reserve is Persian Gulf. You will mark Persian Gulf. You will mark Mediterranean Sea region. You will mark West Africa region. You will mark Gulf of Guinea region. After that, you will mark the Gulf of Mexico region in the Northern America. Some part of Canada also. So these regions you have to mark in your world map, and after that you will write also. So this is the world map that you have to draw, and here you will mark this South China Sea also, and Persian Gulf, Mediterranean Sea, here the Gulf of Mexico region, some West Africa region where this offshore oil reserve is there. So after that you will explain the talk about the geographical explanation also, that why these are here. Here you will talk about the in the geographical distribution. So first you will write the intro part. Here you will define so in the intro part you will define offshore oil reserve. After that you will draw a world map. Here here you will mark this region, the South China Sea region, the Persian Gulf region, the West Africa region, the Mediterranean Sea region, the Gulf of Mexico region. Here mark, and here you will write about the distribution of offshore oil reserve. So here you will write also, because this is a 15 marker question, so you have 3 pages. Here you will write about the Gulf of Mexico region in the Northern America, Gulf of Guinea region in Africa, Mediterranean region, then the South China Sea region, then the Persian Gulf, Saudi Arabia, UAE. So all distribution you have to write here. Then you will talk about the geographical explanation. So as you know, these all locations are on the continental shelf. So continental shelf are very much rich in this oil reserve. So due to sedimentary basins, because these basins are more on the continental shelf. So you will talk about the sedimentary basins. After that you will differentiate between the onshore and the offshore. So here you will make a table. So the best way to represent the differentiate in any two or comparison between any two things. So draw a table. Here onshore, here offshore. How you will differentiate it? So on what criteria you will differentiate the oil onshore reserve and the offshore reserve? So first is the cost, second is location. So onshore is less expensive, more expensive. Location, land in anticline, syncline, and here on ocean, in the ocean bed. After that the risk. So here in the onshore the risk of extraction is less, but here the risk of extraction is more. Extraction technology. So extraction technology also vary in the offshore, less expensive, less technology driven. So in this offshore you will have more advanced, you will require more advanced technology for the extraction. After that the vulnerability risk is also there. Think about the disaster also, geographical angle, vulnerability risk is there. While extracting on onshore there is less vulnerability of any disaster, but when in case of offshore there is more vulnerability towards the cyclone, towards the tsunami. So you can also write this point. So in this way you have to differentiate on the basis of cost, location, risk, extraction technology, or a vulnerability risk. So after that you will conclude your answer by significance. Signify the offshore oil reserve capability. So significance is the better conclusion here. So after that there is another question. So here also you will make this India map also. If you left with the space, make India map and show the offshore and onshore reserve, oil reserve in India. So this is the map of offshore oil reserve. Here is the Mumbai High. So this is the offshore map, offshore oil reserve in India. So this question is more about the world, but if you left with the space, you will write about this Mumbai High, Basin, Khambat, Kalol. These are all the offshore oil reserve in India. We are emphasis on offshore oil reserve also, because the extraction yield of offshore is much high than the onshore oil reserve. So this can be the one difference also. The yield capacity or the extraction yield of offshore is more than the onshore. After that, the question, so what the question says, this is also a 15 marker question, that how can artificial intelligence and drone be effectively used along with GIS and RS technique in location and aerial planning. So this is GS3 question. GS3 question, but it asked in GS1 question, GS1 paper. So you will write this question with perspective of GS1. So here you will think about the society point, you will think about the geographical angle, you will think about the, so these two is more than enough in this in this question. How can artificial intelligence and drone be effectively used along GIS and RS technique? So this question is not easy to write, because here first is they are saying that artificial intelligence, one second. So the question is saying that artificial intelligence and drone be effectively used along with this GIS. So you should know what is GIS technology and what is RS technology in location and area planning. So you have to think that how this location and area planning, that how the planning, area and location planning will be done by using this GIS and RS technology along with the artificial intelligence and the drone system, that how intelligence and drone be effectively used with, because this GIS and RS is currently in process, currently we are using this GIS and RS technology for area and location planning, but we can uh, uh, we can integrate artificial intelligence and drone with this GIS and RS technique for location and area planning. So this you have to write. So here we don't have data much. So intro part will connect, because this question is asked in the GS1 part. So your intro should be on the society basis. You will link the location planning and area planning in the sustainable development. So this would be the better intro in the GS1. So intro, you will link location and area planning in sustainable development. So area planning and location planning is necessary for the sustainable development. So these include land use management, also include resource allocation, also include disaster management. So in this way you have to introduce your answer. After that, so what is GIS technology and what is RS technology? So GIS and RS. So GIS is geographical information system, and RS is remote sensing. Remote sensing. This currently we are using. So GIS, but GIS does that geographical information system. It store the data, collect the data, visualize the data, analyze the data. So it work on this line. It store the data, it visualize it, it analyze the data. And what is remote sensing? So earlier what happened? So traditionally what happened? For this planning, for this area planning or a location planning, we done manual survey. So we done manual survey, plus we use some outdated maps also for the area planning and for the locational planning. So you know what is area planning? You have to in the if there is a urbanization, if you plan the area in urban, if you plan the area, so you have to think about the resource allocation, you have to think about the infrastructure, roads, bridges, and you have to think about the disaster prone area also. You have to think about the solar plant, hydropower plant, where you will build this. So all that is the location and aerial planning. You will also talk about the pollution here. So all this is the area planning and the location planning. So traditionally for this area planning and the location planning, we are using this manual survey or either use outdated map. After that there come a fourth industrialization, fourth industrial revolution. So after fourth industrial revolution, what came? This GIS and RS technologies. So came the GIS and RS technology. So GIS, I told you, it collect the data, it store the data, it visualize it, it create a map out of it analyze the data. So this is the work of GIS. What is remote sensing here? So now no need for the manual survey. So RS is remote sensing, use of satellite. So here we did survey with use of satellites. So here we use the satellite to survey any remote area and collect data on it. So this is ongoing. So GIS we are using it, RS is also in use. So using this data and using this survey, we are now doing the location and the aerial planning. Now the question is asking, now this is the ongoing. When you add up the artificial intelligence and the drone, how the area location and the area and location planning will be enhanced. So you have to integrate the AI and the drone along with GIS and RS. So introduction part done. So hope you understand what is GIS and what the question is asking about. So the first point, so how you will do the location and area planning. So first there is land use management. So we have data with GIS and RS. Now use of AI and drone enhance this land use management. How they will enhance this? They use the state specific planning. Use of drone. So you can use the drone for a small area also. So here you will, for the small area specific planning should be done now with the drone. With the AI, what is happening? Now the centimeter level accuracy will be enhanced by integrating the AI and the drone in the land use management. After that, next is infrastructure. Next point is infrastructure. So in any location or any area planning, the next step should be infrastructure planning. So infrastructure for road, for transport, for bridge, for hospital, education institute. So all these require planning. So here we are using GIS and RS. But if we use AI and drone with this GIS and RS, it will increase the infrastructure planning with sustainable planning. It will increase the equity also in planning. So this you will write in second point. Then what are next? Then the third point is disaster management. So disaster management. Third is disaster management. So here we are using this GIS and RS technology, but if we use AI and drone, then there is more better or better, there should be better disaster management. There should be disaster mitigation, better, there should be better disaster mitigation and disaster adaptation. You can give example of ISRO landslide atlas also here. You can give example of Bhuvan portal also. So in the land use also you can give the land parcel recognition that we are doing with the drone. So in this way you will connect the static part with the current also. So give example of current. If you have any example related to it, give that. So in this way you have to integrate the GIS and RS, integrate the in artificial intelligence and drone with the GIS and RS in the location and the area planning. After that, next question is discuss how the changes in shape and size of continent and ocean basin of the planet take place due to tectonic movement of the crustal masses. So this is very easy question, very static question. Simply this is a plate tectonic theory, nothing else. So they are asking that how the changes in shape and size of continent and ocean basin in planet take place due to tectonic movement of the crustal masses. So in the intro write about this, write the tectonic movements. So what happened? So you know the tectonic plate theory, right? That only there are large plates. There are large plates, continent and ocean plates, moving on or floating on asthenosphere. These movement either convergent movement, either divergent movement or transform, shape the continent and ocean. So these can be a intro. In intro part you will define what is tectonic movement, that they are n number of plates, oceanic plates and the continental plates which are floating on the asthenosphere, and these movement either convergent, divergent or the transform movement will shape the size and the change in shape and size of continent and the oceanic. So in the intro part write this. After that you will draw the diagram or you will draw the map here. After that, first this is simple question to write. Here you will intro, you will talk about the tectonic movement. After that, here you will write about the major plates. You will draw the that plate map. So after that major plate, you will write the major plates also here. After that, you will convergent boundary, you will talk about the mountains, you will talk about the Himalayas. After that, you will talk about the Andes and Rockies. After that, you will talk about the divergence, you will talk about the mid-oceanic ridges. So this is the basic static portion, that is plate tectonic theory. You will write all about that. So this is very easy question to write. After that, our question is, discuss the distribution and density of population in the Ganga's river basin with special reference to land, soil and water resources. So the question says that you have to discuss first the distribution, then the density of population in the Ganga river basin with the special reference of first land, second soil and third is water resources. So on a broader or a general idea, you have the idea that the 40% of our population, of India's population, live in the Ganga's river basin. So here they are talking about the distribution and the density in that Ganga basin. So you know general that the more number of people are living in the this Ganga river basin, but here you will talk about the micro level, at the micro level, and talk about the distribution of this population. So if 40% of people living in this Ganga river basin, then you have to split it into micro level. Here you will write about the distribution in this Ganga river basin. There is upper Ganga river basin, there is middle Ganga river basin, there is lower Ganga river basin, and there is a Tarai region also. You will write about the distribution of population in upper Ganga basin, then middle Ganga basin, and then the lower Ganga basin. After that, some Terai region also. So this way you have to write the distribution of population in the Ganga river basin. After that, they will talk about the density of population with special reference to land, soil and water. Here you will write about the land, how the land will define the density of population, how soil will define the density of population, and how the water resources in Ganga valley will define the density of population. So in this way you have to write this answer. You have to draw the map of Ganga river basin also. So in the intro part you will start with the Ganga river basin, or you have data also here. So here is data also we have. So the intro you can use that the 11 states are consist of Ganga river basin. Also you can talk about that the 40% of population of India live in Ganga river basin. You can draw the India map and show Ganga river basin states here. After that you will write about the distribution. So here you will write about the distribution of population in Ganga river basin. So first is upper Ganga river basin. So here Uttarakhand, some part of Himachal Pradesh, some part of Western UP came in the upper Ganga plain. Here the distribution is less than 1000 person per square kilometer. So here the distribution comparatively less. If you don't know the data, here you will simply write the comparatively less. Why this is less? Due to rugged terrain So here the terrain, the topography is not so much good. After that you will talk about the middle Ganga basin. So at the middle level, so here is UP, Bihar area. So here is populated area. So the distribution of population is higher. Why high? Due to fertile and alluvial land, due to better soil quality, due to water availability. So this, after that, lower Ganga basin, here came the West Bengal. So here the population density is very high. Why this is very high? Because here is sediments accumulation, there is fertile soil also. So all that you will write about the distribution in this way, and also draw a India map with describing this upper Gangetic basin, then the middle Gangetic basin, then the lower, and then the Tarai region also, some upper part of Jharkhand and MP also. So these you will write. After that, density of population, you will describe about the land, that in the Gangetic plain there is fertile land. So here fertile alluvial land is there. So here is land management should be there. So यहाँ पे every infrastructure should be built here, should be built. Flat terrain, we will talk about the flat terrain is there. So all this point you will write in land. This will impact the density of population, because there is a flat terrain, there is better fertile alluvial land is there, land management is there. So this infrastructure is there, more infrastructure should be built in this land. So all this will impact the density of population. So more number of people will live in Ganges plain. Then after that the soil. So here the alluvial soil, agriculture, soil which enhance the quality of wheat and rice. You will talk about the wheat cultivation, rice cultivation, talk about the agriculture farmers. So all these are came in the soil part, that there is more fertile, more agriculture, resilient soil is there. There is a more yield of wheat and rice. There is irrigation facilities are there. Better irrigation is there. You can write in the soil part, and that's why it impacts the density of population. That more number of people are living in this. After that, the water resources. Talk about the tributaries of Ganga. There is better water, fresh water quality. So after that there is groundwater. Talk about the groundwater also. So after that there is inland fishery. You can connect it with this. So these land, soil and water resources, you have to write the density. After that, this is 15 marker question. So you will talk about the challenges also. See, in the land, due to high population living in the Gangetic plain, what is happening? There is land fragmentation. So talk about the land fragmentation also. Second, talk about the groundwater depletion also. Talk about the pressure on infrastructure also. Pressure on infrastructure. So the challenges or the consequences you also have to write in this question. After that, conclusion. So the optimistic conclusion here. Optimistic conclusion, which will show the significance of Ganges river basin, and also give some solution for these challenges. Either give the solution for these challenges, or either give the significance of the Ganges river basin. So this answer can be concluded by this. So in this way you have to write this question. After that, this is our last question. It came in the society part also. So this question not came in geography part. So this is more in the society part. So what it says, so question says achieving sustainable growth which emphasis on environmental protection could came into conflict with poor people need in a country like India. Comment. So this question is hard to understand first. So first is achieving sustainable growth which emphasis on environment protection. So that sustainable growth which emphasize on environment protection. So here first sustainable growth which emphasis on the environmental protection came in the conflict with the poor people need in the country like India. So here are the conflicts. You have to write the conflict first, that what are the conflict due to sustainable growth which emphasis on the environment protection came in the conflict of poor needs, poor people needs. That for the sustainable growth we are doing some environment protection things, है ना? We are doing some, like we are talking about the EV, we are talking about the solar energy, so we are talking about the climate adaptation. So all these we are doing for the sustainable growth that emphasis on the environment protection. Cut off CO2, coal cut out, है ना, CO2 कट कर रहे हैं. So all these we are done for the sustainable growth that emphasis on the environment protection. But somehow these things are in the conflict with the poor people need, because in our India, in the country like India, see this word like India, the question is themselves talking about the country like India, because India is a developing state. So in the country like India, there is a problem of poverty, there is a problem of hunger, there is a problem of gender inequality. So the basic problem is poverty here. So sometimes these sustainable growth policies will came in the conflict with the poor people need. So here the priority should be the poor people need, the poverty should be the priority over the this climate change mitigation or over the solar energy, over the EV. So this will came in the conflict. So this, in this way you have to think this question, that what the question is saying, how I'll write the question. So first you will introduce the question. So for the introduction, what you will do, you will if you have the proper definition of sustainable growth, that what is sustainable growth or what is sustainable development, because sustainable development is showing the balance between so here you will talk about the sustainable growth. There should be balance between the environment and ecological thing. So there should be balance. So if there is a sustainable growth is there, so there should be balance between the economical and the environment protection. So here after that you will talk about the conflicts, that what are the conflicts. So here I have a this flow chart for your understanding. So first there is a conflict between the sustainable growth versus the poor people need. So what are the conflict is there? So the first conflict is pollution fuel resilience. So we are talking about the pollution fuels. We are cutting CO2, we want to cut the CO2, we want to cut the fossil fuel. But what happened, these poor people, the poor people of India will mostly depend on this. So the poor people are depend upon the fossil fuel also. You know that even today also 40% of people are cooking on the kerosene oil or cooking on the fossil fuel, using fossil fuel. So they are the dependent on what, they are dependent on the fossil fuel. And for and what we are doing, we are cutting the fossil fuels, we are polluting fuel. So this is the conflict between the poor people and the sustainable growth. For the sustainable growth, we are moving towards the fossil fuel elimination. But if we see the poor people side, they are more dependent on the fossil fuel till now, because there are 20% of our people are below poverty line. After that, the second conflict is the deforestation and groundwater use. Now, so the second conflict is deforestation. So what happened for the sustainable growth? But we want to reduce the deforestation, we want to reduce the groundwater use. So these two things we are doing for the sustainable growth. But the poor people, the tribal people, think about the tribal people, think about the poor people which are depend on the wood, which are depend upon the minor forest produce, which are depend upon the deforestation, which are depend for their drinking water on groundwater, which are depend upon groundwater for drinking water. So these are the poor people need, and we are cutting this. So this is also a conflict between the poor people and the sustainable growth that we are doing. After that, the third is job versus strict norm. So what happened? So the third conflict that came is the job reduction. So what happened due to these sticker norms? So now the industries have sticker norms. Sticker norms. So they are more strict laws for companies. Strict laws for companies, more stricter regulation for environment protection. You can talk about the environment impact assessment here, है ना? This will reduce the job opportunity. So it will impact the job. And for the poor people, this is the more important, that is employability, that is job. So it will again become the conflict between the jobs, between the employment versus the sticker norms. After that, the slum eviction for eco project. So fourth is what happened due some solar plant. So due to some eco project means eco project that in a city you are building some solar plant, or you are building some ethanol blending plant. So these are the plant you are making, and for that building or for that construction you are evicting the slum area where the poor people live. So here you will impact the poor people. So for poor people there is no slum rehabilitation, no rehabilitation process is there. You will evict the slum for the construction of these eco projects. So this will also again become the conflict between the poor people and the sustainable growth. So here you will give example for each, explain the conflict. What is the conflict between? So here so here first part intro, after that you will write the conflict, first conflict, then example, first explanation that what is this conflict, then example, then second conflict, explain, example. In this way you have to write about these four conflicts. After that conflicts you also write the opportunity here, that you have to follow the balanced approach. So for the balanced approach there are many things that our government also do. So there is opportunity, you can write about the Ujjwala Yojana, you can write about the Kusum scheme, you can write about the PM Surya Ghar scheme, you can write about the sustainable farming, irrigation, you can connect the green job with green jobs also. So write about the government initiative, and write about the there should be balance between the sustainable growth and the poor people need. After that you will give example also, that MG Narega eco work. So MG Narega provide eco works, that are eco friendly works for the poor people. Then the way forward, then there should be inclusive green growth, that there should be, so the poor people will contribute to the sustainable growth. So in the long term, so it may be short term there is a conflict, but after solving this, the long term is there should be participation of poor people in the sustainable growth. So there should be inclusive green growth, poor people as partner in the sustainability. So they are not against the sustainability, they are the partner with the sustainability. But these conflicts are the short term. So while achieving these opportunities, this balance approach, the long term goals is sustainable growth. So in this way, you have to conclude this answer. So these are the total questions that are from geography. Other questions are taken by our other faculty soon. So we have done with the question. Hope this help. Hope you know what are the approaches, how to deal with each question and how to write the question. So paper may be journal on the journalist line, but write this paper is tricky also. So hope this help. Happy learning.